because this paper was called and done for no reason. There was absolutely no reason for them to do that. Like there were no board complaints that led to this. Like there were no, they're called infractions by any chiropractors that led to this rapid review. Whenever there's a rapid review, it's because there's a problem.
Okay, welcome back everyone to the Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research Show. This is episode number 30 on behalf of the Council on Upper Cervical Care. I'm Dr. Kevin Leach, and here with me once again, Dr. Tyler Evans. How are you, sir?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Okay, so this episode, we're going to be reviewing a paper. It's out of the Chiropractic and Manual Therapies Journal. The title is The Clinical Utility of Routine Spinal Radiographs by Chiropractors, a rapid review of the literature. And this is Corso, Cancelliere, Mior, Kumar, Smith, and Côté. Pierre Côté was the one contracted to do this rapid review. And unlike most of the research we've done and reviewed that were positive, this one's not necessarily in favor of upper cervical, but we're doing this because it's vital to understand the flaws of this paper and what's going on in the background behind this paper, to shed some light for the general public and for the profession in general. So Tyler, why don't you maybe give us an overview, a little bit of background of how this paper came about, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were just discussing this a second ago, but in 2019, there was a call for this rapid review, and the board of, so this paper was done by the University of Ontario. Was it Ontario?
Yeah,
Faculty of Health Sciences.
Yep.
Ontario Tech University.
Yeah.
Which I'm not even familiar with that school, but and I'm not even familiar with I wasn't familiar with these names until this paper was done, and then I was like, oh, okay, I've since caught up. But if you look up some of these names, they were saying things very negative against X-ray, like Melissa Corso. And when you put it out there on Instagram and Facebook, like, I don't know, have you seen her messages?
I haven't seen a ton of them, but I saw in the next paper that we're going to review, I mean, clearly there's bias against taking X-rays. So yeah.
So like these people already had a bias before they did the research. And I believe Melissa Corso was like the head, like Pierre Côté was the head of research, but Melissa Corso was the head, like
publisher, writer,
methods reviewer or something.
Yeah.
And that was already a tip off, like, and we'll talk about that in the next paper, but that was already a tip off that, okay, you got one person who's already biased against X-ray, and you're going to have them do a systematic rapid review against X-ray and find all this negative.
Let's clarify real quick what it's not necessarily against X-ray, but let's clarify for everybody what they're trying to say here.
Yeah, sorry. So
no, it's okay.
So the introduction. So the objective was to determine the diagnostic and therapeutic utility of routine or repeat X-rays or radiographs in the absence of red flags of the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine for the functional or structural evaluation of the spine, and to investigate whether functional or structural findings on repeat radiographs are valid markers of clinically meaningful outcomes. The research objectives required that we determine the validity, diagnostic accuracy, and reliability of radiographs for the structural and functional evaluation of the spine. So they finished the review in 2019, November of 2019, and they identified 959 citations. It looks like they screened 176 articles and critically appraised 23. No relevant studies assess the clinical utility of routine or repeat radiographs in the absence of red flags. And it looks like no studies investigated whether functional or structural findings on repeat radiographs are valid markers of clinically meaningful outcomes. 9 low risk of bias studies investigated the validity and reliability of routine repeat radiographs, and these studies provide no evidence of clinical utility. So basically, they did a rapid review, a systematic review, which is supposedly the hierarchy of research, right? So if we talk about like what's the most powerful type of research that to be published, at the very top of the pyramid are systematic reviews, because you go through all these papers that have been written, and then you pick, you know, what all these papers, you put them in a pile and you pull out what the findings of like 1,000 papers are. And so you're basically condensing all of that information into one paper. So it's a condensation hierarchy. And in this paper, they found that minus red flags, there were no reasons to take x-rays based on the papers that they studied, which we'll talk about a paper in a minute that actually showed the exact opposite of that. And
so what was so what was going on just kind of in the background of like, okay, we mentioned before there was really no reason to do this, but obviously they did it and they spent a lot of money doing this. And it seems like it was for more of a political agenda, right? Like they think that it's not important. So basically, in layman's terms, they think it's not important to take x-rays unless there's a serious red flag, meaning during the exam of a chiropractor, they see, oh, wow, like this is, the neurological
broken
finding.
bone, a tumor.
Exactly. And so they're like, you don't take x-rays unless there's that, right? That was their stance. So really what they were trying to do was pretty much create a study as an excuse to say to the body, the board of British Columbia, to say you shouldn't have to take x-rays on a routine basis, which actually pinpoints about 20% of the profession or so that uses x-ray analysis for clinical guidance in care.
Yeah,
that was pretty much what they were, what their goal was.
Yeah, and so I was just flipping through the funding. This study was supported by the College of Chiropractors of British Columbia to Ontario Tech University. So the College of Chiropractors of British Columbia was not involved in the design, conduct, or interpretation of the research, but they were instrumental in getting this thing going. They funded it. So that's interesting, right? So you've got a board that's funding these people that already have a bias. You know they're biased because it's on social media.
Yeah.
One person, Melissa Corso, we'll talk about it in the next paper, but and to rewind the tape just a second, in 2017, they talk about this, but in 2017, the ACA came out with their Choosing Wisely red flags. So basically, this is just more of the same that's already come out of this organization and this group. So it's not surprising, right, that they did this.
I honestly don't. Tell me what is the point? Like, I really don't understand this. Like, X-ray analysis has been around in chiropractic forever.
Yeah.
So what is their goal? Why do they want to do this? Like, what do they get out of it? I
that's
really
great.
Just don't
that's
understand.
A good question. Yeah, that's a good question. So, the what's funny is most, well, I'll put it this way. Most doctors who work in the spine, they want to see the spine. They want to see the structure. They want to see what's underlying. People that don't work in spinal care, they don't understand the value of seeing what you're working on. And so there's just this complete lack of understanding. If you're not a clinician in the area and are doing image guided work, then you don't see the value, and then you just go to all the negative. Now, these people back in 2017, they're literally trying to align themselves with medicine And the internal, I believe it was the internal medicine board was who came up with the choosing wisely movement. And the ACA wanted to align themselves with that so that they looked in good favor for these people. Now, here's the rub is they don't care. The board of internists, they don't care what chiropractor, they don't care about us. They could care
Agreed.
2 cents less.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
And so you've got these chiropractors that are trying to bend a knee.
Well, hold on. So hold on a second. Not only that, but I've done, you know, I do consulting with a chiropractor who's very, I mean, he's more medically oriented. I love what he's doing, but he says the same thing, but he even goes so far as like, he's on board, he's on staff at a medical school. And so not only do they, it's not that they don't even care, but they want us to do that because they want chiropractors, the medical profession, like not the pharmaceutical companies or whatever, but like actual people who know what we do. They want us to be able to identify and screen cases that actually need to go to neurologists or neurosurgeons or that like legitimate cases. And if we don't have the skills to actually find that and do that, and we're just doing general, you know, what they would call, you know, manipulations, like we're not being doctors, we're being technicians. And so it doesn't go.
But that's what these people want, Kevin.
Right.
That's what these people want. The chiropractors, they want to be technicians and they want to align themselves for primary care physician status so that they can prescribe medication, so that they can be more aligned with medicine than with the traditional philosophical background underpinnings of chiropractic. And some of these, so the schools, and this goes back to like how we're taught and how, you know, how the division in chiropractic has grown so wide anymore. Most chiropractors have no idea about why they actually would correct a misalignment in this or a subluxation in the spine, and hate the word subluxation, hate chiropractic and its foundation, and don't do what you and I do, where we're trying to help people vitalistically get their health back. These chiropractors think it's all about just mobilization and making fixated joints move better. And that's not what it's about.
A lot of other things that aren't even chiropractic.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just trying to get closer to giving up more rights. And you and I both know that when you give up rights, you never get them back. As soon as you give them up, you never get them back. And in the board of the BC, British Columbia, so that's the westernmost province in Canada, these chiropractors have had X-ray rights since 1934. So you're literally giving up 84 years of rights, or at least that was the number that was in the paper. That's what I'm remembering off the top of my head. 84 years of X-ray rights. In 1934, chiropractors got that right, and they've had it ever since. And now all of a sudden, you want to give that up.
Well, you know, that's one point of, you know, that the next paper we go over that, you know, refutes, like, so they did a rapid review and then they quoted the World Health Organization on rapid reviews and systematic reviews. And they didn't even do a systematic review, which is actually necessary to institute policy, right? And healthcare policy.
Change,
so what they did was a rapid review, which is not, and again, you know, a rapid review is, like you said in the beginning, is something like there's a crisis, there's something that needs to happen right now. It's serious, it needs to happen. So, you know, the question is, why would they do a rapid review and not a systematic review? What was the hurry? And then, like you said before, what was the reason in doing this if it wasn't just to stop a huge faction of chiropractors from actually making a living and doing the technique that they feel is, you know, is the best for their, you know, for their patient population, which is, you know, I'll keep my comments to myself about that, but it's not, it doesn't seem right. So.
Yeah. And, you know, you got to hand it to them. Like they got their act together and made this paper happen, and they did some damage quickly.
But why? I'm sorry, but why? What's the point? they like, what is the point? They really think they're like saving people like from like extra radiation or $100 from an X-ray.
Yeah,
It's
both
like
those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the so when you do a rapid review of research, you do it, like you said, because there's a crisis. There was no crisis in this case. You would do this. So if a board is having a problem, that's because there's been a complaint lodged against a provider. There wasn't a complaint, right? So
Right.
there was no call for
Right.
this paper at all,
Right.
other than any radiation is bad radiation.
Which
And
we know is
that's,
completely wrong. We
it's
we
not
did a
true.
podcast on this,
Yeah.
and they cite all the beers and all that stuff, which is
Yeah.
again
Beer
refuted in the
7.
next paper that we go
Yeah.
through. And again, all that stuff has been vastly gone over. Just looking at these two papers, I realized that there's so much more than just the one paper that we went over on the the radiation hormesis and whatnot. There's just a ton that just refutes all of that stuff, saying any radiation is bad radiation. So
Yeah.
I mean, again,
and then to
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, even if hormesis isn't a thing, it's like there's still no proof that any radiation is bad radiation. It's like, again, we get radiation from everywhere. So it's like, your body can deal with it. So.
And there's no negative side effects below 100 millisieverts. There's also positive benefits that have been published in PubMed, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, when you look at where this paper was published, who published it, it's clearly a hit job. Like this was a hit job on chiropractic, on chiropractors who take x-rays.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of this stuff. We have, when this came out, Dr. Jeff Schulten, he got kind of loud about it, and he was saying, hey, he's shouting from the treetops and from the mountaintops, like, hey guys, this is not good. Like, this is not good.
Right.
And
so
there's only so much you can do once it's been published, right? And so what's nice is the ICA came together and did some work there, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you can tell this was published in Chiropractic and Manual Therapies, and not every peer-reviewed literature journal is as good as the next.
Yeah.
I'll say it that way.
And I don't know if it was in this paper, the next one we're going to do, but they've had a lot of kind of anti-chiropractic published papers in this journal apparently as well, as far as what I read. So another negative thing about this paper was their inclusion criteria, right? Like, they only used 3 words: cervical, thoracic, lumbar. They didn't use any studies that were done by non-chiropractors. Did a rapid review instead of a systematic review. Any other just kind of overcasting, faults for this paper?
Yep. No, I mean, I think that kind of hits it. We'll get into it in the next paper, but it's just it's sad. It's sad to see chiropractors do this to other chiropractors, circle the wagons and attack other chiropractors.
That's what's crazy. That's what's crazy to me. That's what's crazy to me. Like, what is, like, again, I'll ask it again, and you can't answer it, but I'm just like, what is the actual point? Like, what is the point? They spent more than $100,000 on this study, and for what? It's, I don't know.
Well,
it's really
sad. It
sad.
achieved a purpose. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. It was like, what was it, like 7 days after it was published, like the committee got together and to change the policy or something. It's like,
but before that, they took a kind of a casual vote on who would be against x-ray, and they had a majority beforehand.
So they knew. So they knew what they were doing.
So they knew.
The study was supported by the College of Chiropractors of British Columbia. All right. All right. Well, I mean, again, next paper, we're going to go through a lot of the, different details and whatnot that just kind of debunk a lot of the stuff that this paper is talking about, and that this paper does.
Which paper is that, Kevin?
That's going to be the radiophobia overreaction. College of Chiropractors of British Columbia revoke full X-ray rights based on flawed study and radiation fear mongering by Oakley, Betts, Harrison, et al.
Yes.
So we'll review that one. That is a very robust paper. So we'll go through. So be sure to check that episode out. We're going to go through all of the different details, all of the different reasons why this current study it was more of a political agenda than a research agenda, it seems, unfortunately.
Yes.
So
yes.
So anybody watching this, this is we'll put some links in the description below of different places that you can donate or support or whatever, because there's some litigation that's going to be happening in the future that we won't talk too much about. But if you want to support, the chiropractors and the chiropractors that do this kind of work, that care about their patients and are making a livelihood for doing this, then make sure to check those out, and we'll link the research below as well. I'm pretty sure it's public access. So sound good? Yes. Anything to end on?
Yeah, just it's like, let's not end too terribly negative, but
yeah.
But this is why it's important for us to do these research reviews, know what's coming out, know what our state boards are up to, know what our provincial boards are up to, know what our national organizations are up to, because little things like this slip in the back door, and then, like I said, you lose your rights and you never get them back.
Yeah.
Without really I don't know if you can get them back. I don't know. I don't think we've ever gone backwards and then come forwards again. I think we started at nothing and gained what we got, but I don't think we've ever lost rights and then regained them. So that's kind of uncharted territory. But it's just pay your dues, be a member of your organizations. If you are part of CBP, pay your dues, be a part of that organization, attend meetings, be up to date on what's going on. If you're part of NUCA, Blair, Ortho Spinology, all the upper cervical techniques, join the council, pay your dues, be a member, be active, because these things are happening all around us all the time. And we have to coordinate, we have to talk to each other. And if something comes up, we all need to be aware.
Totally. And if you're a patient watching this, understand that doctors that take these x-rays for analysis, they're doing it for your best interests. We have to see what's going on inside of your body to know, number one, that we can actually put a force, no matter how gentle, into your spine to correct it, and to make sure that we're actually doing it in the correct manner. We do a lot more education and learning, on top of the traditional chiropractic, curriculum and chiropractic school, for these techniques, even outside of the upper cervical realm, the chiropractic biophysics and, all the Gonstead, all those, they're really, these doctors are really dedicated to being the best doctors they can for you. So support them, understand it's for your best good, that they're doing that. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap that up. Thank you, Dr. Evans, and we will see you on the next paper. Awesome. Okay, that's it for this episode. So what did you learn that fascinated you or surprised you about the research today? Join or start the conversation in the comments below. Hey, thanks so much for watching. To watch more of our research shows, click or tap the screen right there. To subscribe to the channel, click or tap the screen right there. Until next time, I'm Dr. Kevin Leach with the Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research Show, bringing awareness to conservative primary spine care, upper cervical chiropractic care, and traditional chiropractic. Until next time, take care and take care of your spine. It's the only one you'll ever have.